getting recorded, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So our first problem is like we have to remove the comments. So code is given C++, and as we know, like as usual, I mean, new line character will start with /n, and this denotes a single line comment, and this denotes a block of statements are commented. So I mean, whenever the text is written inside, it should be ignored. And to be clear, this does not yet end the block statement, as the ending would be overlapping the beginning, and the first effective comment takes precedence over others. So if this occurs in a block, it is ignored. Similarly, if this occurs in a line or a block, it is also ignored. Okay. And if certain line of code is empty after removing the comments, view must not output that line, and its string list will be non-empty, and there are no control characters, single, double, all this will not be, it won't be there. And it is guaranteed that every open block comment will eventually be closed with this outside of a line or block comment. Implicit new line characters can be deleted by block comments. And yeah, after removing the comments, you have to return the source code. So you can see these texts won't be considered because they are within a single line comment. So this will come, this again, this won't be, this won't come, this will come, again this won't, and yeah, so on. Like this is the example for the above one. Yeah, so how do you like to proceed over here?
So in this, the lines actually are the input what they are showing in this example.
Yeah,
Uh, each and every line which has a new line character is a separate string. That is what is given to us.
yeah,
Yeah. So that is what also they say in the problem statement. But maybe it's
top.
always good to verify that requirement,
Yeah,
right?
mm.
Then it becomes more easy because actually we don't have to split this based on the new line character, correct?
Yeah, every line will like is a new line, right?
Yeah, or maybe it is not even required, right? If they would have given a single string also, yeah, that should be have been fine. Yeah, no problem. But that is what the input is. So I think we don't have any constraints, right? We have a range of 1 to 100, and each and every line is of 80 characters.
Yeah,
In this
length.
last example,
Can we have, could it be a case that we can have nested comment?
Oh, comment within comment.
Yeah,
Within the block comment, single comment.
within a block. So
Yeah,
within a big
Within a
block, we
block.
have a nested comment.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, but yeah, I don't think so. There is any such statement in the problem statement. So yeah, that would be a good to clarify. Yeah, because if you have a nested comment, then it won't.
this one, the first effective comment takes precedence. If a string this occurs in a block comment, it is ignored. Is this the same Leon is
No,
talking
no,
about?
no. Here what is saying, if you have a line comment and if you get after a line comment, if you get a block comment, then you ignore the
Oh,
block comment, right? And vice
yeah.
versa. But what Leon's question is, if in a block statement, if you have another block comment, so what actually is there a requirement like that? But I don't think so. For now, it's a single block comment. That is what we should
So
assume.
it will be ignored only if it is nested, right? I mean,
Yeah, it is true. But what happens if the closing block comment comes first, then the original one?
yeah.
The inner one's closing, if it comes before the outer
Then
one's closing, then actually it will be a different thing to handle, right?
then
We'll have
that
to
will be a
count.
part of a string, not a comment, right? I mean, yeah, I got it. Like ending comes first and starting goes last, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case, we'll have to handle it differently because when I worked on this problem, I
Yeah.
think they have not taken that into consideration. It seems so.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong if someone has implemented. Yeah.
Also, the other thing is that what would be the output? Like, would it be a vector of vector or a vector of strings?
It would be a vector of strings.
Strings. Yeah.
But if we see the first input, the output I think is a vector of strings, vector of strings. Go down. Yeah, this thing.
This
okay.
is, yeah, it
Right,
is a
right.
vector of strings.
The
Yeah,
vector
yeah,
of strings only, right?
yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. So that is the only thing which I think Leon has a point. Yeah. And that's very important. But let us assume in this case, Leon, because that is what it is, like the nested comments of a block comments, nested block comments are ignored.
Yeah.
But in
And-
regex, you can put that like it will ignore it. I mean, it's not explicitly mentioned to ignore, but if
Yeah.
anything like
because it is passing. I think if you do nested comments, it won't pass.
yeah.
And that is a problem. Yeah.
And one more thing.
Uh-huh.
In the second example, I think A and B should be in different strings because they are in two separate lines, no?
No, but that's not a comment, right? Yeah, A and B should be in a separate string. That's true.
No. In the second example, why they are in a same line? Because this is a block comment which starts on the line first after A, correct? And
Yeah.
that continues for the second line also, because each and every an element in this source is a different string with a new line character, right? So it goes to
Right.
the next line, and still when you say it's the line, that is also in a block comment. Then it continues to the third line where you have more underscore comment, and then you get the end of the block comment, and therefore we get B. So the whole of them, A and B, is commented, and then they concatenate that.
So this comma, what is the use of comma then? Not like
Because that is a different line, right?
So as per your logic, if we go in the first example,
Mm-hmm.
then A equal to B plus C shouldn't be in the previous string where int A comma B comma C are declared.
You are saying A is equal to B plus C.
So shouldn't it be a part of the previous string, like where int A comma B comma C are declared? Because the code between int A comma B comma C and A equal to B plus C is a comment, is a block comment.
but it is not in a block comment, no. This is in your block comment.
Yeah, I got your point. See, what he's trying to say is the same should apply here. But if you look at it, they start on different lines, correct?
Okay.
So, and if you see the end of the block comment, you have a new line character after that, and that is visible, correct?
Right.
That is not commented.
Yeah, correct.
I would assume that way, Yeah, I think makes sense there too. But I would assume, because instead of they giving us a new line, they are parsing and splitting the whole thing and giving it to us. So maybe something like that to, assume. Because if we had a new line, we could have used that, and then we just had on two different lines. Yeah, but that is also a valid one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That needs to be clarified.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
so
this entire block, yeah.
right. So these were the only two things. But Leon's one, actually, the nested comment, it works even if the way I implement it still works, because I did take care of that. But it
Yeah,
is still working for the first example. Yeah, Leon, go ahead.
No, I was saying within block comment, even if it is single comment or reverse way of writing the block comment, that will be ignored only, right? I mean, that will be a part of a normal string, not a comment it will be.
Yeah.
No, but
Right.
again, let's say if this is one comment, again one end comment is here and start comment is here, then this will form a pair with this and this will form a pair with this, but again some strings will be left in between, right?
No, what he is trying to say is, if you already started on the first line, right? Whatever the line you're, this is a test, right? You
Okay.
started your block commit, and then when
Okay.
you are inside another, that second line, if we take it as an example, on the multi-line, if you have another start of a block commit, okay, and
Yeah.
then after the third line, after comment, we have an end of a block comment, the first, second block comment, and then we come and normal on the testing, we have an end of the second block comment. So what we need to do with these one, the one which is inside the block comment, the
I think since
version
we're
one.
looking after the topmost hierarchy, the ones which are inside, I think they would be taken care of.
Right,
They will
right,
be part
but
of normal string.
yeah,
Because we look for the termination thing when we, as soon as we find a starting block comment. So I think, and it says that the expression is valid. So we won't have like two starts and one end. So I think that would be taken care of only.
Now let's say at this place you have a close comment and at this place you have a starting comment. So close comment will become a part of this one. So this will be ignored, right?
right.
And again, one start comment is here between is and a. So this start comment will become a part of this. It will,
Yeah.
but is, what about is then? Because
So-
here closing, before this one closing comment is that, after this one opening comment. Then in
So
that case,
that is normal. So ease will be a part of our output.
okay, normal string.
Yeah. So, but his question was different. We had something nested inside that, but in spite of not having not implemented that way, but still it is passing in my test case. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, then precedence will be given to the extreme, what you say.
Yeah, we'll have to count, how many nested things are there, something like that.
Exactly.
Maybe slightly more implementation details. Yeah. So, what would be the approach?
So one is like you can use the regex operation. I mean, just like you can put the patterns and wherever it sees the patterns, it will remove it. And at last, you just join all those things. Like this pattern I'll put within this, whatever it is, it will get ignored. Again, another pattern I'll put like that.
Oh,
Using regex, I mean, yeah. So
that would be a very optimized way of doing it.
exactly,
Correct?
yeah. That's not a, like, that's like if you have seen regex and all, you have worked too much then only. Otherwise,
Okay, if we do a brute force way,
then you parse the string,
mhm.
and the moment you hit the, we can keep an empty string variable, and while parsing, if you hit like first,
Yeah. So if we look for the start of a block comment,
okay,
and we also look for another
end,
one is a line comment,
okay,
So whichever hits first, so you ignore the other. Because if we get in a line comment, if we get after line comment, if we get a start of block comment, we ignore the block comment.
yeah,
And when we first get a start of block comment and then we get a line comment inside it, we just ignore that line comment. Correct. So you understood what I'm saying by line comment. If you have two backslashes, right?
yeah, that is a line
Or-
comment.
yeah, yeah. Or maybe
Did
backslash
you
and a
draw?
star.
You want to draw?
So we check
I
I
got
and I
it.
plus plus, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we just check two of them. And then if we find either of that, so maybe if we find a line comment, we can ignore the whole line immediately. If we are in a loop, we can just break from that loop and say, okay, I'm done with this line. I'm just skipping the whole line. But for a block command, we'll have to, take some different steps, like set a flag, okay, and keep
Okay.
on still parsing the string, because you might get the end of the block comment in the same line or maybe in any line, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so if you keep on parsing, and if the flag is set to true, we don't do anything. We just keep on skipping all the variables, and we come to the end of the block command. Then we actually, what you say, set that flag to false, reset it, and then after that we keep on again collecting all our other string parameters, right? So whatever the leftover characters are, and that is the way we form a vector of strings, or or whatever the input is or output. That is the way we form our output.
So flag you are using for the block one, right?
Yeah, that is the only one which is important, right?
Yeah. So whenever you hit the first, I mean, if you hit this one, you will make initially your flag will be false or true, anything.
Right.
And moment you hit this one, you will initialize it to true, right? If it is false.
Correct.
And you will keep on parsing, and the moment you reach end,
Then I
it will
reset the flag. Yeah.
reset the flag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So when I reset, whatever the characters again keep on parsing, I just put them in that output vector or array, whatever you call. I just push them in that, and then at the end, when I'm done with all these lines, I just return it. That way it is straightforward, right? But the
Without
only
flag,
Are you taking care of the new line also?
No, actually, that is what they say. If you look at the problem statement, the new line is we don't have to take care of it, because the input is given in such a way that each and every line of a vector or an array is a separate line. So that is the way they have split. So based on the new line, they have split the whole code,
oh, yeah.
and therefore we are getting separate lines as an input. So we don't have to take care of that.
Okay. So if the input is like the example 3, where the uh, comment, the block comment is a part of multiple lines and it's in between. So we'll have to concatenate the left and the right part, right?
Yeah, that is true. So, but if it is starting on a separate line, then we are actually on a separate line, right? But if our comment, like for the example 2, when we actually see that example 2, right? Yeah, because we were already on one line, and then we skipped another line, and on the third line we comment because we don't see any new lines, right? So that automatically gets added.
Each line is separated by a comma, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what is the need of flag? Like, can't we do if, I mean, we'll keep this, only two of the characters are unique, right? This is, I mean, either multiple character, I mean, what do you say? Slash and star, and another is double slash, right?
Right.
So when you parse the string, the moment you hit that, you got this one, what you say?
The block command, start of block command.
Block start, and
Mhm.
keep on parsing,
Yeah, keep on traversing actually.
and you will
Each and
hit,
every line. Mhm.
yeah, you will hit at a time the, what you say, the blocking one. I mean, the end part of this.
Mhm.
So directly it can't be ignored. So I mean, what is the why flag you are using? Like, I wanted to know for that.
Okay,
Without flag,
so if the flag is required for two reasons. One is actually if you have a start of block comment and then you get a line comment in that, you have to ignore it. Correct.
okay,
So that is
yeah,
one thing. And second is, like, if you have multiple lines, because the block comment will be true for multiple lines, correct?
yeah,
So, or else it can be in the same line. You can find an end of a block comment in the same line. So you have to keep traversing that line also. and to find if we have a end of block comment. So, to answer your question, first will be to find if in a start of block comment I have a line comment.
Okay.
Okay, and in the second, if my block comment is continuing for more than one line, more than this current line, right? So I need
Yeah,
I need a flag.
Okay. Yeah.
That is the way I did it. I don't think so that's the best way to do it. But as I said, because you said with the regex, I thought that would be more optimized version of doing it. But this is like a brute force, I would say.
I mean, yours is more intuitive. Like, I mean, we are
Yeah,
whatever
it's
we are
like
thinking, we are
yeah.
experiencing.
So
Yeah,
just I'm reading each and every character, and I'm trying to analyze the way I would do it,
exactly.
the way I'm
Yeah,
reading it, right?
yeah.
So therefore, I say it is like a brute force.
But that is more intuitive also. Because this is like, if I don't know regex, I mean, I don't know how it operates, how to take care of multiple characters. There is no use of this regex, right?
Regex might be an optimized way version what they have done, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
taking care of all those, and also they might have taken care of the nested ones. What Leon is saying, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So all those things might be a part of your that library.
So you want to share code like,
Okay, I can quickly share.
yeah, sure.
Harshit, do you have something to any
No, I
comments on?
didn't code this completely. I was
Okay,
stuck in the second example only.
okay. Yeah, it's slightly tricky. Yeah. Okay, I'll just share. Maybe mine is not the best one, but
No, no, let's say I think that is more intuitive, but
yeah, because it looks almost like a brute force. Yeah. So you are able to see my screen, right?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so here these are the initial things, and this is the B flag what I'm using as a block flag. Okay,
Okay.
and then I am. Okay, did I do it? I'm
You,
sorry. Let me actually. Well, I think I did take the wrong one. Just give me a second. I'm just going to the next
yeah,
screen
sure.
because I did it slightly different. Yeah. Okay. So this is the one
Okay.
because I was using a for loop and then I messed with the indexes. Okay. So instead of using two for loops, the first one is a for loop because it is actually running through each and every line, right?
Yeah,
Because my
exactly.
input is a vector of string, so array of string, and then I come inside and start parsing single line. Okay. So as I said, my B flag is the block flag. That's only one flag what I have.
Mm.
Okay. So this is my index, which I actually traverse in each and every line. When I come in this line, so as I said, first I look for this one line comments. That is the two backslashes, right? Or
Okay.
second, I look for the start of block comment, or I look for the end of block comment. Okay. So as soon as I encounter a line comment on line 17, I just break because I don't have to go ahead. Okay. So in that
Mm.
case, even if I get a block comment, I ignore it. Okay. But I have this B flag, which if it is false, it means I don't have a block comment already starting or already started. So I just come inside. Then only I check for the line comment. So that's an interlock over there. Or else if I come here and I see if I have a start of block comment, I just set this flag and I increment my index here. Here I'm not doing because I just have to break, right, in the line comment one. But in this case, I just set, increment my index. Okay. And
Okay.
when I when I come out of this, if all the if else nested ones, um, so I again increment my counter because you see I've consumed two characters, correct? So first one
Mm.
and first second. So So I have to take care of that. So that is the reason I've used while loop over here. And that works because instead of using for loop, I again have to, take care of the indexes very properly. So while loop is much better using it because I was stuck and took a long time for me to actually realize that. So, and in the second, when I try to find if I have an end of block comment, if I have an end of block comment, I again set it to false. And then again, I increment my index over here. Okay. Or else if my block flag is not true, okay, because my line comment is already, I found it, I just break it there. But if my block comment is not true, then only I keep on adding all these characters or the letters to my variable string, which I want to output. And when I'm done with this line, when I come out of the while loop, I actually look if my line is empty, because if I don't have any character, I don't want to push that in my output. And also if my block flag is not set, then only I push that in my output. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm just looking for the start of block comment, end of block comment, and the line comments. So it is a very straightforward solution. The way we think, looking at the problem statement, it is exactly the way we have. That is what I've implemented. That is why I'm saying it is a brute force way, but there might be an optimized way of doing it also.
No, but this is more intuitive, like, I mean, what we are
Yeah,
thinking
that
here.
what comes to me in the mind. Yeah, immediately. So it's more of a string parsing problem. It's more of an
Exactly.
implementation details. Other than that, there is no much trick. Only
I
handling
mean, that
these
is the
two
first
block
thought,
cases.
like everybody will have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're pushing only when the block flag is false, right?
Block flag is false. That's true. And also sometimes in some cases my string will be empty, because if you see on the middle lines, if I have a block comment, there are many lines in between. At that time, this string will always be empty. So I don't want that to be a part of the output.
So it will be also n square only, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Total length.
So I'm just traversing the whole string, right? So
And
what do you
inside
call
that
it?
while loop, uh,
But while loop, I'm
every
just going through each and every character. I'm not repeating anyone.
yeah,
So it may be like a O of lines multiplied by all the characters inside
in
it.
each line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm saying that is the one, but the regex might be an optimized version, or maybe there is something else also. If anyone has to share.
Yeah, definitely. Someone wants to share.
So I was asking, how does that regex function works? Like, does it look for some pattern?
Yeah, it will follow some pattern, like, so like first I'm dealing with the single and block closed and block not closed. I'm splitting it into 3 divisions.
Okay.
And this R stands for your regex, and this is what I'm doing here. Within the single, I mean this double, if this comes, it will be ignored. What do you say? Single slash, or backward slash. And this, yeah, and this dot, and star means if dot is repeated many times, like dot 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 dot, like this way. So I mean, it will take care of all the things inside the double too. Many dots or like single backslash, it can come within double. So this will be dealt with this one, regex single. And this question, yeah. And this question mark is for one or more than one characters if you are having in that string, followed by what is a double inside this. If you get this one, if it is repeated many times, again the star is repeated many times, followed by character. I mean, as question marks again stands for as many number of characters you can have in between. And again, if there is within these two, what you say,
backslash.
Pardon?
That's the backslash, sorry. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
saying the other way. Okay.
Yeah, backslash, right. So it will be taken care in that one. And this is your for this regular expression. If it is not closed, like you have double slash, I mean, if it is not closed, I mean, you have starting this one, right? Of the multiple comment of the block comment, you have the starting one, but you don't have the ending one.
Yeah.
Then it will be taken care by this. And at last, just append all these three.
Will we have the third case on line number 7, line number 6? I think we have
Line
already
number.
removed.
Your voice is a bit weak. I mean, feeble.
So I'm saying that I don't think we'll have the third case.
Yeah, I mean, it's not specific. Yeah, we will not have here, but like it's a generic kind of stuff. Like in case if such cases are generated,
Right.
there are many things like in these patterns also you will not have many things.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's
but
trying to
like
make it more generic. Yeah, good.
yeah.
I believe the complexity of both these codes would be same, although the number of lines are lesser here, but I think the complexity is still the same. We are doing the string parsing anyway.
But doing the regex is a dynamic programming, right? Implementing regex is again a DP problem.
Yeah, that is
Wildcard characters match, we know, right?
right.
Yeah.
It's similar to yeah. I don't know time complexity since it is a what you say. What should we say regarding time complexity?
I think it should be a minimum more often, right? Because without traversing,
It will be open only, right? Yeah. I don't know. Because, yeah, as Sandeep said, right? It will still keep on passing each and every character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whichever gives the minimum that to take.
Yeah. Maybe it has more pointers, forward pointers to look further in the string, something like that, more optimized version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So anyone, I mean, any other apart from these two?
So I was going through the discussion and the comments thing. I don't know why, but this is a seriously disliked question.
Definitely, you can see here itself.
I was in the comment section.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe it's very straightforward question. It's just implementation details of string parsing. So people don't like it. There are not much tricks and challenges in it.
And
Yeah.
secondly, so many of text before boiling down to the question.
Yeah,
Mistakes
it's a huge explanation. So
large corpus of text.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say don't go by these likes and dislikes, because the question we were discussing yesterday into Roman, that also had a lot of number of dislikes, but that is a frequently asked question.
I never expected that Amazon will have that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we don't have choice. So when we have a question, we have to actually work on it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we can move on.
Yep.
Yeah, we can switch to next. So this is a friend circle. Some chat is there.
No, I was just asking a question.
It's a Roman number. Last question we did numeral to Roman.
Okay.
Into Rome, right? Yeah.
So there are n students in the class, and if A is a friend of B, A is a direct friend of B, and B is direct friend of C, then A and C are indirect friend of each other. So many such groups will be present in the array, and we have to find it. So it's like, so I can plot it on a graph. So like it's one. So 0, 1, 2, 3 coordinates are there. Like what is it? This is 0. 1, and then 2. If we look, so 0, what is a 0 is a friend of 1, right? 0 is a friend of 1, 0 is a friend of 2.
0 is a friend
So,
of itself and 1.
Pardon?
0 is not a friend of 2, I believe.
And 0 is a friend of itself. I mean, I was saying index, I was talking like 0, 1, 2 index I was giving. So 0 is a 0, 0 is a friend, 0 is a friend of 1, right? I mean, at index 1.
Right.
Yeah. So 0 will be a friend of 1, and 0 itself, that is a self friend only. Sorry. And again, what we can say,
1 is a friend of 2, yeah.
okay, then 1 is a friend of 2 again. So this gets connected. 1 is a friend of 2, and again this is 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. 0 is a friend of 2 also, right here.
Yeah, that's a undirected graph, so you have both sides.
I think one more component you will get. This is
This is okay.
oh yeah, here yeah, oh, you will have only one component.
Yeah, that's only single component, right?
You could have some other thing like some like, let's say if here 0 and 2 was connected, 1 was not connected, and 1 was here alone. So in this case, you will have 2 components.
Yeah. So you're trying to say that this is representing some form of a graph.
Graph, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like an adjacency matrix of any
Of that
graph.
graph.
Yeah.
And we have to find number of connected components.
Connected components. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but just looking at the problem, it doesn't appear very quickly, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, because if we just discuss with an interviewer, he will just give us all these inputs. But then whether the representation will be in the form of adjacency matrix, even if it's a graph problem.
Until and unless he speaks the word graph, or we have, I mean,
And I think there's small ambiguity also where it says that A is a direct friend of B. I mean, that does not imply that B is the direct friend of A. It's possible that the other person, like if I'm friend of B, then B doesn't count me as my friend.
but from matrix it looks like that, right?
Yeah, like
0.
from the
Yeah.
example it looks.
Yeah. So here you'll have 2 such components if we look at this graph. I mean, from matrix getting that, but I think graph, these could give a hint, right? A is a direct friend of B, B is a direct friend of C. So some hint you can get from here, like.
So graph is okay. What I'm saying is that if it says that A is a direct friend of B, but I don't take this as B, I mean the other way. B is also a direct friend.
Got it. Yeah.
It has to be mentioned. Like if A is a friend of B,
Yeah.
then B is also a friend of B, because we might confuse this to be a directed graph.
Exactly, because
Yeah. Otherwise, if the implementation part I thought is pretty straightforward, number of DFS calls.
exactly to get the number of components.
Yeah.
So you want to share code, like?
Yeah, I can share.
Yeah, sure.
So I've implemented the standard DFS. I've maintained a visited vector of size n. It says that it is n cross n, so I don't have to take care of the columns. And I initialize everything with 0, implying that none of those friends have been visited. And I initialize the count to 0. Then I check for the first non-visited friend, and I call a DFS on that. So coming to the DFS, I am maintaining 4 things: the vector, the starting friend, the number of friends, and the visited array. So as soon as I start the DFS for a particular friend, I make it as 1, implying that that has been visited. Now coming to its neighbors, if I is equal to start, I continue, and otherwise if it's a friend and if it hasn't been visited, then I call the DFS for that particular neighbor friend, and it goes on till the time all
What
the
is-
friends in a particular circle are visited. So as soon as I return, I increment count, and finally I return the count variable.
what that line 9 will do? Like I equal to start, that means same vertex you are.
Yeah. So yeah, I could have ignored it, I think, but so just like
Self-
0 is a friend of 0. I'm not
Yeah,
checking
yeah,
that.
yeah. Self loop.
Yeah.
If you ignore it, I think it will work. Should I?
Yes, because that has already been visited, so it would
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, it makes sense. So what would be the time complexity like? It's a recursive, right?
Time complexity, right? So it would be n cross n only, because it's a
Every cell of the
efficiency.
matrix you're visiting.
Yeah, it's a matrix implementation, so I have to go to each cell. Had it been a list, then adjacency list, then it would have been the number of edges in the worst case. But in this case, I think it would be of n into n only.
Yeah. So you're thinking time complexity here from matrix perspective that you're visiting each of the cell, right?
Right.
From recursion, if somebody like think what like,
Okay.
that will be like
And what
Yeah,
will be
go
the
ahead.
space complexity for this?
Implicit
Space
stack.
complexity,
One
N
of
n squared.
of-
Sorry.
n only, but visited set we are keeping.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's-
even like. Okay, so will it be n or n square?
No, n it
N
would be
it
n
should
only.
be.
So n would be
Okay,
for
okay.
this thing, the visited array, and if you talk about the recursion thing, then at max we go
N
what
levels.
at max we go is the column length, number of columns, and then we come back.
Yeah, which is n, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the visitor is being passed as reference, right? So n only. Got it.
I'll have to pass it as a reference.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the other
Yeah.
way of looking at is that I am visiting every vertex, like every friend and each of its neighbors. So it would be O of V plus E.
E. Yeah.
So in the worst case, and E would be n square only. So O of n square.
Number of edges is equal to n in v to v minus 1, but I mean number of what is order of n square, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
So I think BFS will also work like.
Yeah, definitely. Wherever DFS works, BFS will most probably work in most of the cases, right?
Yeah, most of the cases, not every time.
So where could be the case like DFS could work, BFS? Is it? It should work.
So there's a famous question: rotten oranges.
Okay. Yeah.
In that question, DFS does not work because we have a time constraint. Because at particular time, we only can rot the neighbors.
Oh, backage concept, right?
Sorry, come again.
Like time you're setting for the time interval, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. DFS won't work.
And for the shortest path, we know like if it's an unweighted graph, then BFS only.
Yeah, the BFS works there.
Right. So can we move on?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. So it's similar to what you shared, just, I mean, calculating the row and column and making this visited array of the length of the number of rows you have. And for every unvisited one, we'll run a DFS on it, and it will go to this DFS function and it will check if it is not visited and the particular if it is a friend, I mean, ij is 1, then you just make that vertex is visited and then call on its neighbors. Like DFS will be called on the neighbors of that. So, and at last just return the count. Yeah. So has somebody done it with union find, anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Then do let, I mean, can you share?
Yeah, sure. Just a second. If you don't mind, can someone tell me the question number? Like,
Question number.
yeah.
This is like 547.
Okay. Just a second, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sure. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Can you increase the font a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, better. Thanks.
So this is my DSA node, union find class, and this is the code for union find. Basically, creating a new set and then finding the parent of a node, and like union, like combining the two nodes, combining any two nodes based on the number of children. So it's union by rank, and this is like the main function now. Basically, I've just created all the. Basically, it's just the integer, the like 0, 1, 2 integer, the friend number, and its corresponding node stored it in a map. We can use a vector as well, and then I'm just iterating over the entire this matrix. And if mi of j is 1, then I'm just unioning them, like combining them. Yeah, and for if I equal to j, then I don't have to don't have to explicitly take care of that condition, because in that case, when we come to this union by rank, it will call the find set, and node 1 and node 2 will be same, right? So the parent 1 and parent 2 will be same, and will automatically return. So I don't have to worry about that. Now, once I have union all by rank, then this is an unordered set. I'm just finding the parent of all the friends, of all the, what do you call, all the person of all the students. So
The one in the circle.
yeah,
Yeah.
the one in the circle.
Right.
So it will basically return me the, let's call it the parent of that group. It's basically return me a group identifier, right?
Right.
So I'm just storing it in an unordered set, and eventually I'm just returning the size, because the total stored, since it's an unordered set, it'll automatically handle duplicate parents, and I'll only have like the unique groups that we have, right?
Right.
So it'll automatically, the size of it will automatically turn me the number of friends, like number of friend circles. Sorry, I just found it very like simplistic, intuitive, and actually when I only came up with this solution. I didn't even thought about the graph. How will go around doing this with a graph? I simply like wanted to be a very typical union find question.
What is the
Yeah.
time complexity for this one?
The time complexity will be same, which will be n square, where n is the number of students. Since in either of the cases, we are only iterating over all the nodes, and the space complexity will be linear, which is On, which will be like for 58, and as well as for this unordered set.
Okay.
And are there situations where only union find works? Because I don't usually code using union find. I use the normal DFS.
Yeah. Actually, when I tried it, I used to I actually didn't even bother learning DFS. Sorry, union find. I always was like a fan of a DFS only, but eventually I realized that union find is like sometimes very helpful. Like it's like in this question, it was for me. It was like a typical union find, like a easiest implementation that I don't even have to think about for a long time. It was very intuitive for me. So although you can definitely do DFS, definitely, but I just found this one to be way simpler.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because what all I have seen that if the union find works, then the DFS also works. I mean, from my
yeah, that's true.
experience.
Yeah.
Okay, Uday has shared something on the chat. One optimization in union find there would be you can have a count initialized and reduce the count by 1 on union. I'm not sure I understand that completely.
Here you need the distinct, I mean, all the group hosts, right? I mean, all the distinct heads of the trees, right?
Right.
Yeah. So initially, all of them would be initialized to itself. All of them would be misused. So on merging of one, you will combine two nodes into one. So you can reduce that count and by one, and after every union.
Sorry, can you repeat? I couldn't understand. I couldn't follow.
So on union, the size of the distinct host reduces by one.
Size of
distinct DSU nodes reduces by one.
Yeah, when you club them, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So when you have created the DSU node, you can have a counter, and when you do a union by rank, you can reduce the count, and after all these unions, you can return that count instead of calling find.
Okay, got it. Yeah, got it. I think I got it. Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, would it affect like any time or space complexity? I don't think so, because eventually line number 58, where we are creating the nodes, it will take O(n) time, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it will be an optimization, but Uday, can you just say will it improve the space or time?
You don't have to call the find on everything, but that's it. That is the only optimization that, I mean, the last loop, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, this one, right? 75.
Yeah, 75. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. We can go ahead and I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, sure.
Rani, could you please share the code if it is okay?
Yeah, sure. I'll share.
Thanks.
So let's move to the last one. So they are asking us to find the minimum moves to reach the target with rotation. So it's a long story. So I'll tell you So a snake can either move in the horizontal direction or it can move in the vertical direction. If there is one, I mean, that means it's blocking. It can't move in the downward direction here in this particular case. It can move only in the horizontal direction, and at each time the snake will span two cells. Like one move it will make two cells will be spanned. And second thing is like, apart from moving horizontal and vertical, it can also rotate clockwise and anti-clockwise. And the snake has to reach to this position So you'll have to find the minimum number of, what is the minimum moves that is required for this snake to reach the final position. I think that is the crux of the question, or am I missing anything? These are the 4 things, like move one cell to the right if there are no blocked cells, and move one cell if there are no blocked cells in the downward, and you rotate clockwise if the horizontal position and the 2 cells under it are both empty. Okay, rotate clockwise if it's in a horizontal position and 2 cells are under it are both empty. Okay, yes, like these 2 cells are empty, so it can make a rotation over here.
I didn't get the first 2 points where they say that this move keeps the horizontal or the vertical position of the snake as it is, because if we move one side to the right, then we are moving, then we are covering some horizontal distance. So I think that is something I don't really understand.
So move one cell to the right if there are no, this move keeps the horizontal and vertical position of the snake as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, horizontal means a snake is lying on the ground, right? I mean, how to let's say this this move keeps the horizontal vertical position of the snake. Here, let's say snake is straight here, right? Let's say, I mean it's straight. So if it moves here, so neither its horizontal position, horizontal position are not changing, right? It is lying only in X direction, right?
Okay.
Is it?
Horizontal, but it has taken one step.
Yeah, definitely. It has moved in the X direction, but direct. I mean, what you say? It is horizontal parallel to the X axis only, right? I mean,
so
I
when
think
does
that
the horizontal position change then?
Coordinate is changing. That's true. Like if you are at X equal to 2, you are going to X equal to 4. But
Right.
I mean, direction you can say direction may not
So
be
I got
changing.
your point, but when does the horizontal position change? I mean,
when it rotates. When it will rotate, that time what will a snake which is parallel on the x-axis, let's say if it's doing clockwise direction, so it's crawling itself, right? So it is changing direction from X to Y or any other coordinate. Like I'm also trying, let's see, let's say this is your x-axis, snake is like this. So snake moved, snake came here. I mean, X coordinate definitely it is changing. But when it is trying to make either a left turn or a right turn, then with respect to this x-axis, it is changing its position, right? It is not straight now. It is not parallel to x-axis. So in that case,
okay.
I think vertical and horizontal. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. So if it's vertical and like if it's moving along the y-axis, then we don't say that its vertical position is changing.
Yeah, vertical is not changing. If it is
only when there is an angular displacement, we say that there is a movement.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's why in the third point they haven't mentioned this one. This move keeps horizontal.
Okay.
Yeah. And so each time, like if it moves horizontal, it will cover 2 columns every time. And if it moves vertical, it will cover 2 rows it will cover vertically, because at each time it is spanning 2 cells. If you look here, what they said.
Yeah, R+1.
Snake spans the 2 cells and starts moving from top left to this. So how do you think brute, I mean, what is the first thought that is coming here? Like, it's a minimum moves we have to take care, I mean, that point.
Right. So I would check the possible neighbors where it can move to, and like then call till I reach the end 2 nodes.
Okay.
So if it's a 0, then it's a free space, and if it's 1, then you can't move there.
Exactly. And apart from those 2, rotation also you have to take care of.
Yeah, I have to check that if the down one is empty, then I can make a rotation clockwise. Yeah.
So that gives an intuition. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm done.
I was saying that gives an intuition of DP, right? I mean, you have possible choices. Either you can go top or you can go bottom, depending on the conditions. Like if it is whichever is free.
Right. We can have overlapping subproblems. So yeah.
Yeah.
Store them.
Would that be backtracking?
Backtracking, yeah, also if you find it is blocked, then it will return. But again, backtracking will hit TLE, right?
I think backtracking, yeah, this is a good question. Backtracking is when we have to explore all the paths. I don't
So
think
here
we'll be doing that here. I also
So
get
does
confused between these
DP,
two.
we also need to explore all the part, right?
Yeah, but backtracking, we don't have policy of storing some sub problems, right? Backtracking means DFS only you are telling, right?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we start from there and then we see, you know, the path we cannot reach there. We backtrack and we mark that path as unreachable. Now, you know, we explore the next one.
It should work, I think, backtracking. But,
Are we like doing that thing over here? Because we just check that is it possible to move there, and if it is, we just make a call.
okay.
I think
In the case you can rotate, then how do you decide whether to rotate or not if you have the option?
Below you have to check if the one is free, then you can rotate.
Yeah, but let's say you can rotate, but you don't have to. Like, how to make the choice whether you know you're gonna rotate or not? If you have both options, you're gonna explore both, or
so. We don't really take a choice. We just explore all the paths, like, and then take the minimum out of all those 4 things, I guess.
I see. I see.
Backtracking, exploring all the possible paths.
But yeah, this is a very good. I also get confused between like what is the exact implementation? Is it DP or is it backtracking?
DP, I've seen with DP and DFS both. But DFS I haven't explored. DP I saw, yeah. So if anyone wants to share something, like, go ahead.
I didn't code this, so I was like
Yes,
stuck in the
sure.
horizontal part only.
Yeah, sure. You let me stop. Shall I stop?
No, I'm saying that I didn't code this because I was not clear with the question completely.
Okay, no issues.
Yeah, even I found the question a little hard to understand.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, I read through, I went through some of the blogs and then I got it.
If we haven't, like a lot of us haven't solved, we might keep it for the Sunday thing. Like if it's
Yeah, actually, I saw it in the discussion section, and this is what I mean, I'll tell you. Let me see to what level I can explain. Like, so this is the number of number of the rows I'm creating. Okay, number of rows I got. Now every position, whether vertical, let's say you are going horizontal. Again, you will have two possibilities. Either you can go vertical from there, or you can go horizontal from there, right?
Okay.
So before doing that, you have to check whether your horizontal is free or not. I mean, there should not be any ones in your horizontal path or in the vertical. Whichever path you find, then only you will take a move, right?
Okay, so you mean if it's a 1 or 0?
Yeah, 1 or 0, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Like you decided to move in the horizontal. So before moving, you check the 2 ahead blocks you are having, that should have only zeros, no ones.
Okay.
So here 4 parameters I'm passing inside my DP function. So one is like for visiting every cell, you need row and column.
Right.
And horizontal, I'm checking whether, if true, that means you are good to move. There is no obstacle in that. But if
in
it
the
is
horizontal
false,
direction.
Yeah, in the horizontal direction, exactly.
Okay.
And once you move, and they have told that each time you move, you will span. When you move in a horizontal, you will like what you say, one extra column you will cover from the previous one.
Right.
Yeah. And if it is false, horizontal is false, that means vertical is true. And if vertical is true, that means you will span the row.
Right.
So here just this is the tuple, all the 4 values I'm passing. And here this is a memoization step just to check if your result is already present, then you are not supposed to do anything.
Okay.
And now this is where it starts. This is your horizontal part and this is your vertical part. Like I'm assuming here that my horizontal is true.
Okay.
So if my horizontal is true, I need to check. I'll be moving 2 steps ahead, right?
Okay. So you are taking 2 steps at a time.
Yeah. So I need to check before that. It should be within the boundary of your what you say matrix. Otherwise, it will hit. I mean, you array. I mean,
Okay.
you'll it
Yeah,
not
I got
it,
it.
it would not be a valid one. Yeah.
But
And
like,
so
what if I just take 1 step ahead? I mean, would that be repetitive or something?
it will be repetitive because again you have to cover one more step in that case.
Okay.
No, I'm taking by column wise. I'll take only 1 step. I mean here, I'm increasing the column by 1 only.
Okay.
For spanning, I'm telling because for it needs 2 cells to span. Like when it will rotate.
So this line number 20, you are checking for the horizontal movement or something else?
This is for horizontal. I mean, when you are at horizontal, again you have 2 possibilities, right? Either you can move right or you can move down.
Okay.
So if you have to move, if you will move right, then you will span 1 extra column. You will cover 1 extra column, and if you move down, you will cover 1 extra row.
Right.
And you have to take care of the rotation also. When you are doing rotation, that means that I'm neither column. You will be either what you say. Since since you can't rotate here, right? Because horizontal is true. That means vertical is blocked. Like here, if you come, this is the case. You are moving horizontal. Your vertical is blocked, right?
So I mean, is it like mutually exclusive?
I think it should be like if one occurs, the other shouldn't be. And based on, I think.
Okay.
That is also, yeah. I also didn't notice. I mean, this is what thing shouldn't be, right? Mutual exclusive.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be until unless it's mentioned.
Yeah. I think this then I'll have to check this one. And this is the repetitive for the column. That's it. I mean, same thing we are repeating here for the column, but just taking the rows. I mean, you are checking because if you go down row, you'll have to span and here column and again put it in your cache and put it. I think this line we have to. I need to check it out. Like.
Yeah, sure.
So if it is not rotated, then yeah, I'll check. Is that one? That part is a bit confusing.
I just want to clarify the R and C here is the head of the snake.
No, rows and column.
Yeah, I know, but is it the head of the snake or
yeah,
the
head
tail?
and exactly head and tail.
That is the confusing part. Yeah.
But it's the head, not the tail, right? Because it occupies 2 square, the snake. So you're keeping? Oh, the tail is at the R, C.
I think that should. This is tail is at R, C.
Okay, tail is at R, C. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then it makes sense. Like the +2 thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I was taking R, C as the position of the head.
No, it is a tail.
Okay.
But how is it possible to just keep the one position, like just knowing the tail is enough for you to keep track? I thought you have to keep track of both where the head and tail is. No?
Can you come again?
Because I was just thinking, because I haven't done this, but don't you need to know where the head and tail are? How is it possible you just know where the tail is?
Yeah, I think we should know, right? Both the tail and head.
But he is only keeping track of where the tail, the R and C is just the tail, right? So the head can be anywhere, no?
But only thing we need to check in the case if we want to rotate, right?
Yeah, that position only, that part only.
For horizontal and vertical movements, I don't think it is required though. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry, I joined a little late
But-
again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. So, but
Probably, maybe I'm wrong, but can't we just keep the position of the head and then, I don't know, I'm just thinking loud.
So, head, whenever we are on the head, we know that the position is 0. The grid value is 0, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if we have to move it horizontal, we just have to look for the next right. And if we have to go down, we just have to look for both the cells in the down position if they are 0. Correct.
yeah,
But then in that case, we
You
don't
can
really
see-
need. I'm sorry.
You
Go
can
ahead.
see only one cell down, right? Like you have to turn the head down vertical. So tail will be in the original position, original block, and only the head will move into new block.
So you mean the original position of the head, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're going down, if it is
You just have to
horizontal
see-
already, you have to
Yeah.
look for the head also. Yeah.
R+1, yeah.
Yeah, because if you say that it is moving 2 steps, 2 rows down, then you will say that it is taking 2 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it is already horizontal and then if you have to move it horizontal, right, in that case, you just have to look for the right cell, correct? But if
Right.
it is already horizontal and if you move down, then you have to look for both the cells which you are going to go down. The both should be valid. In the sense, both value should be 0.
right and down.
Yeah. And if it is already horizontal, and then if you want to go down, then only we have to look for one cell, down cell, which is the value should be 0. And in that case, I think we should look for both the cells. Right? If it is vertical position and then we are moving to the right, then both of them are going to move to the right. So we have to look for both the cells, the next new cells to be 0 values, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Should be like that.
Yeah.
But
I think Henny has a point there, yeah.
I'm getting confused in 27, like if it is not rotated, I'm setting my horizontal to false.
If you are not rotated,
The horizontal I'm setting as false.
I think like when you try out line number 25 and then when you
Yeah.
come back, your this thing rotated is false, right?
Okay.
See, he is going down. He is just going down. It means vertical, right? Because he is in the horizontal position. He has turned right, and then he's just going down. That's why he has put
Right.
horizontal as false, and he's just going next doing vertical.
Okay. So is this a solution which is implemented?
Yeah. This is what I saw there, discussion section.
Okay. So before going that, did you discuss a very simple solution, the normal BFS solution?
Yeah, backtracking we were discussing, like we'll explore all the possible paths, and if we see if it is blocked, it will return from here, and whichever path it finds that it's free to go, it will move in that direction. And secondly, for rotating also, it is said that the below portion should be empty, right?
Yeah.
Then only it will rotate. So
Right.
backtracking would be one of the brute force, like all the possible paths you will try to explore.
Instead of backtracking, you could do a BFS also, right? You just go for the BFS way, and we have only 4 movements to do, right, and down, and then anti-clock, the counterclockwise rotation and the clockwise rotation.
Yes.
Right. So if you do a BFS every time you start, and then you look for those 4 coordinates and then keep on updating the queue, that also should work without any backtracking. So you are almost doing the same thing here, right? Or no? Or this
Can you
is a
explain a
DFS?
little?
Pardon?
So I feel what this implementation is that it's DFS.
It's a
we
DFS, right? Okay. Yeah.
go completely towards one direction and then we come back.
Mhm. DFS also should work, yeah.
Yeah.
But only thing why I would go BFS is because it's the shortest path that we have to find, right?
Yeah, but minimum that can be done using DPO. That also gives the intuition of DP. Like you have lot many choices you have, and you want to choose the minimum one. So that also gives an intuition for DP.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, makes
So like,
sense.
Santosh, how do you determine whether like if you are using BFS, then how do you like determine that if, my current path is the shortest path?
Because BFS does that way, right? You are actually putting everything in a queue and you are traversing level by level. So as soon as you hit the end condition, you just come out of the traversing. And that will be the shortest path, right? Because it's non-weighted.
Yeah, the movement is non-weighted, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so, sorry, I just distracted you. Go ahead, yeah, no problem.
No, it's so. I mean, I was getting confused at this. If not rotated, why I'm setting this? I mean, why they have set it as a false horizontal path?
If it is not rotated, and then they are setting this false.
Yeah.
The horizontal is set to false, right? Because then you might not be able to rotate. Therefore, they are setting false.
If not rotated, that means like I'm not rotating or about to rotate, something like. No, I didn't get. Can you come again? Like.
So if you are horizontal, then you can rotate clockwise, correct?
Yeah.
So if you are not able to, when are you not able to rotate clockwise? When
If it is blocked.
yeah, when the lower cell is blocked.
Yeah, yeah.
Then only you are not able to rotate.
Yeah.
So maybe your lower cell is blocked in that case. That is the reason you are not able to rotate.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Probably he's trying to like avoid multiple rotations from the same position. I don't know, maybe.
But every time you will rotate only once, correct? And then you will go again. Can you just scroll up? How is this loop? I just want to.
So it's like, so I can come again once more. So I've taken this.
Yeah.
Okay. Up.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, 4 tuples I'm taking, that your head and tail will be present at R and C, and this is horizontal to check if my horizontal is free or not, and whether it is rotated or not. And this is the memoization part which I'm doing here.
Okay, so you're only taking horizontal position. So if horizontal is false, it means you are in vertical position, correct?
Okay, complement the other way around, yeah.
Yeah, and rotation means you are either able to rotate or not rotate. So if you're horizontal, it means you can only, if the rotate is true, it means you can rotate the clockwise direction. And if your horizontal is false, when it is rotated is true, it means you can rotate and counterclockwise direction.
So horizontal true itself denotes that below cell was blocked. That's why I'm moving in horizontal direction. No. That's why rotation can't be done clockwise. Is it?
Okay.
Like, I mean, snake is here. Why I'm moving horizontal? Because my vertical is blocked.
Right.
So it can't make up this rotation here. That's why I'm setting rotation as a false.
Can you maybe go through the example one, just maybe the first few steps, what happens?
Yeah, this is the example, right?
Yeah.
Initially you are here, right?
Yeah.
Now your horizontal is free. So when your horizontal is free, and you will check whether, I mean, boundary conditions that the two cells should not cross the boundary of your matrix. Then at that time, what I'm doing, I am just increasing the column value by 1. That is, head will come here and tail will come at your second block. And I'm setting horizontal as true. Again, I'm setting horizontal as true here.
Yep.
And rotation as false. Next, what I'm doing is like, by moving at this position, I'll again check whether my buffer, what you say, this, we're moving down, right? Yeah, this I'll be checking. No, I'll be checking whether my row is free or not. I mean, below position is free or not. So if it is 0, yeah, if it is free, then 1 down I'll go. I mean, I can go 1 down. And if it is not rotated, then.
Yeah, so if you're checking for the below row, okay, both the cells are available. So
Free, yeah.
if both are available, then two things you can do. One is you can move down, okay, from a horizontal position, and second you can rotate clockwise. So that is what he's doing here, okay. So you actually move down. That is what is done on the line 25. And if it is not rotated, I'm not sure why they are actually considering that. But on line 28, it is actually trying to rotate clockwise.
Yeah.
These are the only two possibilities which can happen when you are in a horizontal position.
Yeah, because if your below is free, then only you can make a rotation.
Yeah, as well as you can go down horizontally. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving horizontally is checked here only. I mean, in horizontal we don't. I mean, it's already, since it if horizontal is there, it will be true. Then only these things will execute, right?
Yeah, but in that case also, when you can, if you are in a horizontal, you can move horizontally or you can move down also.
Exactly.
Okay, and then you can rotate counterclockwise. So all the three conditions it is checking here. The same he will do when he will look at for the, if it is not horizontal, it means it's vertical, right?
Yeah.
So if it vertical, it can move down, okay, or it can move right also, but it will move right with both the cells, correct?
Yeah.
Because when it is vertical, if it has to move down, it can only move down one cell. Means the head will follow you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I have a question. If you're horizontal, can you like only move down, or you have to rotate? So let's say the example 1, you moved 2 times to the right, okay, and then now you're free to move down, but the snake is horizontal. Can you just move down, or you have to? I thought you have to face down. I thought the snake has to kind of face down for you to move.
Oh no. So the thing is, if you are on the cell like 0, 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here. So that is, you are in a horizontal position when you are in 2 and 3 on the first row. So in that case, you can move. First is right. That is on the cell 4. You can just go. So it will be 3 and 4. But or else what you can do is when you are in 2 and 3 on first row, right? You can directly go down on the row. The row second, 2 and 3. That is one way you can do. So that will be down, as well as you can rotate. So in the rotation, it will be a clockwise rotation. So your head will be on row 1 at the second position. Sorry, I'm saying row 0 at second position, and row first, second position. That will be a rotation. So it can do 3 things when you are horizontal. Just considering this case over here.
I see.
Because I was also confused earlier. So they say when you are in horizontal to vertical, you can move horizontal as well as you can go down.
Oh.
Whatever the way you are. Yeah. But you have to see the other cells where you are moving, they should be free. That means unblocked. And then the rotation comes part. If you are vertical, you can only rotate counterclockwise. And if you are horizontal, you can only rotate clockwise.
So when the snake is at 2 and 3, it can either move to 4, right?
Right, right.
Or it can make a clockwise towards the below 20.
Below.
Or it can just come down. It says
It can come, yeah, down.
yeah, just come down, yeah.
Just come down,
Come
or
down.
you can do clockwise like this.
Come down, and
How
the
will
face will be facing horizontal itself. Like face will be facing as it is, the snake face.
Yeah, so this will be your
right.
first position, right? Your snake. So
Okay.
then I can have a different one. So you can actually move here, okay? Or
Okay.
you can move directly here, or you can have a rotation like this.
Via tail, like.
So in the first one, you got it. This one, the first one, right? Right movement. Your head will be here, okay? And the
Okay.
tail is this one. But when you move down completely, you know that your head is and tail are here and here on this row only, correct? But when you are rotating, your head remains in this position and only your tail actually is here.
Can you draw once more figure like it's get? I mean.
Okay, sorry, I can't get this color, you know. Okay. So okay.
Let's say snake is initially at start.
Yeah, so I'm not going to. So your snake was here only, okay, in this position. So now the snake moved here. Okay. So that is one thing. Again, I will erase this. So now you're.
Santosh, sorry, like before moving, could you just explain when you say right, how it moves those 4 pointers?
Okay. So this is my snake. Okay. Right. This is my first position. That is in horizontal position. Correct. So now I will try to move to the right because this cell is 0. So I can move this snake to the right side. So it will be here.
Okay.
Right. So is this clear?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you move right, so the tail is on. So you're moving only one cell when you
right, yeah.
Okay.
I'm moving both because actually head also will move, right? Head also will move. Head will be here now, and then the tail. This will be the tail, and this will be head.
Okay.
Correct. So this is one movement. So now the second movement will be like when my snake was here. I'm assuming it again. Okay. I can actually drop it down here because both of the cells are 0. So here will be my head and here will be my tail. Okay.
Why your head and tail is opposite? Like head is front, no?
So I'm okay. So whatever the way you think, okay. So okay, this will be the head, maybe. Yeah. So for now, you just assume that this is the head. Okay. I didn't see
rotation is done. That's why. Okay.
Yeah, because usually the one which is moving this way, I was thinking about that was the tail. But so this is the way your head tail will be. Yeah, you can assume it that way. Sorry about that. So that is one. And second, my snake is here, right? So it can rotate like this now. So in my case, if I say head here, head will be here and tail will be here. But in your case, you can assume it opposite. So this is one rotation. And when you're rotating, you have to check if this cell is 0. That is very important. If this cell is 1, you cannot rotate. That is only one condition you have to take care of.
Yeah, they have mentioned like below cell should be empty.
Yeah. Even when you are jumping from up to
both
down.
Below and they both the second row, you mean like, the second row, second column and third column should be 0.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So when in the rotation, I would say all the 4 cells should be 0. Almost. Yeah. All of the 4 should be 0 because you are already here because they are 0. Correct. And then you are moving, you want to check these ones also, and this has to be 0 also. So all of the 4 should be 0. Then only the rotation can happen, as well as when you are moving down, also you have to check all the 4 should be 0. But only in the case of moving horizontally, you just check only one cell to be 0 because you are already on one cell, right? So you don't have to check, you just have to check this. And now if you are on a horizontal path, right? So in this case, if we take this example, sorry, on the vertical side, So if you are here, right? So either you could go down one cell, correct? So your position will be like this. So that would be your first movement, right? Or
next column, both body
yeah,
and
so
head.
or you can just move it like this here
Yeah.
in this case. Or the second will be like you can have a rotation. In this case, this will be a counterclockwise rotation. So this will be a rotation like this. I'm sorry.
It will go to the bottom, right?
Yeah. So it will be like this. So if you are already here like this, so you can actually rotate this way. That is a counterclockwise rotation. So in
But
this
again,
case, you have
condition
to,
there should be a 0 in the path while rotating.
yeah.
Okay.
So this cell should be 0.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, because while rotating it will span 2 cells now. So those 2 cells has to be empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually the explanation in the example, right, that makes it very clear. I was just checking. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
right
So
clockwise, right, down. Yeah.
So that is the only thing, or else the whole problem is a simple BFS. But yeah, if you do it BFS, it might not be a very optimized way of doing it. The way they are doing it here, I think Shashank did that we're using a DP. That might be more optimized way. But BFS is more intuitive, right? It's like finding a shortest path.
Yeah.
Yeah. But only you have two cells to take care of. And that is the only small trick we have to do.
So in this example, like when it says right and right clockwise, so in which column does it turn his head down?
So E is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first right is here, the head will be here, and the next right is here, so the head will be in the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, fourth column, and he turns right, rotate clockwise, so the head will turn here. So your head becomes this way.
When you're at fourth, you
It's
can't. I mean, you can't. Okay, got it.
Because R plus 1, it will become R plus 1. The head will become R plus 1, and the column is same.
Right.
So what are the initial positions? So the initial position of the head is at column 1, right?
Initial position is 1,
0, 1.
0, okay, so you start from 0,
If you
1.
take 0 index.
0, 1. Then next will be 0, 3. One first right. Okay. The next right will be 0, 4. And if you do rotate clockwise, that time the head position will be 1, 3.
Yeah.
So this, how come like from 0, 1 it went to 0, 3?
You did 0, 1 and then you did 1 right?
Yeah.
You put 1 right.
So he moved twice, right?
Okay.
No, after like twice right will come to 0, 4. This is second right.
Okay.
This is the starting position. This is the first right. This is the second right. Your right will come up to 0, 4, and the clockwise turn. I can write turn. Turn will come make the head to column 3. Sorry, column 3 and row 1.
Yeah.
So and then if you follow that, then what he is doing is moving right. So he is moving in this direction. So the snake will come here, right? So if you write, and then he is moving down. So the snake will come 1 down, and then second down, and then third down. And if you scroll down, Shashank, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that will go away. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Third down.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
third down,
right there,
and
yeah.
the fourth down will be the last. This is now this thing. So you imagine displacement. The fourth will be here. Okay, and then you do the rotate counterclockwise. So that time the head will become here. So and then you move right. So here. So and then you move this to down, and your snake will come down.
You can't take a rotate from there, right? I mean, at this where you have marked one, from there if it rotates and come.
No, then your tail will be if you rotate from here, right? So
It will be out of index, array index.
Yeah, if you rotate from here, your head will come to this block.
Boundary. Yeah.
So that's why you just move down.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yes. Snake lateral.
That's what I saw implementation in that. What you have faced, I have not completely gone through, but I think that is what it's doing.
Exactly.
Rotating is trying to go vertically down, maybe.
Makes sense. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good actually. That's a very concise the way of implementing. Yeah.
I mean, understanding it is bit only. Otherwise, code is not. I mean, we have to take simple conditions only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the way I implemented is a huge code, but yeah, I just went the way we are talking, just implemented that using a BFS. So that was too much of an implementation, right? Okay. So this is very precise and simple.
Okay. And it will be order of n square only, entire cell of the matrix you are visiting.
O of n square. Okay, so how do you
like every cell he has to span each and every cell of the matrix, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from that perspective,
so if I do a BFS, at least it will be touching each and every cell, and it is trying to go to each and every cell, right? So
yeah.
Maybe O of E plus V, edge and vertices.
Yeah, and then again edge and vertices relation will be n square.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I can also quickly show mine. Maybe that is slightly different though. So what I did, okay, this is a very lengthy code though. So yeah, I start from here, and this is my main function. I'm using a queue. Okay, and the first is these are the positions that I'm pushing in the start. Okay, sorry, I always say it the reverse way. So this is a tail, and this is my head, right? So this makes more sense the way you guys have implemented. Okay, and then first when I go in, I just do a normal BFS. I look if the queue is not empty, and then as a lever order traversing, right? Because I want to count the number of moves. So every level will be one move. So I just go for each and every level, all the elements in a level in this case. And then the first thing I actually take these parameters out of the queue. Okay, I pop from the queue, and then I look if I've reached the target. If I've reached the target, I just return the move. Or else, as we were discussing, first go for the vertical movement. For the vertical movement, I just move like X1 will, earlier one will move to these are the X, right? So they will be moving down, right?
So here spanning cell means if a head will move by one cell, then its body is also moving by a cell. That is like spanning by two cells, right?
Yeah.
What is, or should we, I mean, what is the meaning of like spanning two cells? It is advancing one column at a time only, right? Like U1 plus 1 you are doing.
Yeah. So vertical, actually, I'm just moving down in this case, right?
Down, sorry.
Yeah.
So one row is spanning. So when one row it covers, that means two rows are already covered. Its body is also covering one row. Like head is moving, so body will be in the second cell. So that is like spanning two cells.
Right.
I think yes. Yeah, because when you technically you're moving only by one cell, but since your tail and head covers two rows here, Two
Yeah,
cell.
that's why. Okay.
So
Otherwise, I was
then,
thinking to increase it by 2, like x1 is equal to u1 plus 2, but it's correct, like u1 plus 1 it should.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going down, and then I check if the positions where I'm moving, they are all valid. So in the valid, I don't do much. I just check whether they are in the range, these coordinates, and also the value is 0. Or else this is a visit is nothing but a unordered set, but where I'm converting these coordinates into a string and storing it. Okay, so if I don't find that, it means if it is not visited, then only I push in the queue. Okay, and then I also push in my visited set. So I do the same thing for horizontal. Okay, so for the horizontal also I try to move
Before you
to the other
move
side.
ahead, right? I have a quick question. Why would you mark the visited when you put something in a queue? Like a typical BFS implementation, the visited only happens after you visit it, right? Which is a part of the POP, correct?
I did it the other way because I actually first marked that as visited the
No, I know, I
initial
understand
starting.
that,
Yeah.
but like basic BFS implementation is that you don't mark it as visited when you just put some things in the queue saying these are the things that are meant to be visited, and only when you take it out of the queue and you process it is when you, before you start the processing, you say this node is now considered visited, and then you process, right? So typically the visited happens should happen pretty much in line I don't know, 143, I guess.
Yeah, that is also possible. Yeah, that also will be good. But yeah,
Couple
but
of
this is
values
the
will
way
be
I
passed
did.
inside. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm just like kind of double clicking on this to see if like logically in your head, if you're doing a visited upfront, there are some scenarios where it actually will cause issues. So then you have to think about what those edge cases are. And the second concern that I did have was like your line 138 through 141. You're using q.front first, as opposed to using like the pop itself will return the value, right?
No, in C++ you have to use q.front.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, q.pop actually just pops, but it doesn't return anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is what a double we have to do here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Otherwise, like, you know, it's a little awkward in terms of how this is
Yeah,
set up, but that's
because I see the Java, it's a very convenient way of doing it. But yeah, the C++, this is the way. So yeah, but actually, yeah, you make right. Yeah, I could actually do the checking here itself instead of doing it at twice place. But I've been doing it this way. Yeah.
Just double check. And I think Anshu, you had a question saying
Because I do it the other way.
It's better to mark visited earlier, is what he's saying, because same node will be enqueued multiple times. That is usually not a big concern. So essentially, if a node is being processed, like essentially think of it as a completely connected graph where everything from level 2 is all connecting to one node in level 3, right? Then essentially what will happen is you will be encoding that specific node n number of times, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
And that is the downside of doing it, doing the visited element later. But there are also scenarios where you will see, if I recall correctly, and I'm trying to can't really quickly find a reason why we don't do it. It's just that a node is considered processed only when it's eliminated or removed from the queue. Till that point of time, these are just candidates. And I think the reason why that works is that if you're using, like, you know, costs and other things, there are cases where you might want to reprocess them because it might be cheaper or better to come from another path. So I think there are like a few different reasons why we do it that way, but I think I'll leave it for folks to figure out why or how. But I think it makes the code a little bit more compact as well.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, because I was doing BFS this way and that DFS the other way. So okay, maybe I need to check that. No problem.
Please go ahead.
Thanks,
Sorry, I didn't
yeah,
mean to disturb.
no problem, sure. So this was vertical and actually horizontal, both are almost the same if you see it, because we just check again the validity of the coordinates what we are going to move, and then again push it, right? So the code here is same. Then only it changes for the clockwise and anti-clockwise, right? In this, what different I have to do is, if I have to rotate clockwise, first I have to check if it is in horizontal position. Then only I can move. Okay, so I just check if it is a horizontal position, and I check if the previous positions, okay, and the cell the other cell which I'm going to check, this check, this cell is 0, the lower cell, if it is 0, then only actually it's good to proceed ahead, right? So then I'm done with this. I just check the validity of the cells what I'm going to move, and the other thing remains same. So in horizontal, on the clockwise rotation, I just have to check if it is horizontal and the validity of the other cell which I'm just going through, right? So that is the only thing I check here. In the case of anti-clockwise rotation, I just check if it is vertical, and then check the other cell which I'm going to move is valid, the one which you are discussing, right? The one which has to be 0, or else other things remains almost the same.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought this might be a very straightforward way of doing it, but might not be very optimized.
Can I poke on the conditions that you're checking?
Mm-hmm.
Just go back to the rotation. Let's do the rotation one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you checking for valid of x1, y1? Why would that be ever invalid?
Yeah, because we are moving to x1, y1. So if they are not 0...
No, but you are already in x1, y1, right?
No. I'm on u1, v1. I'm on
and
u1,
x1 is
v1.
u1, x1 is u1 and y1 is v1. So x1, y1 will always be u1, v1.
Okay, yeah. So I can actually optimize on that. Yeah. So I could remove that, but I just kept it all the way. Yeah. So this can be done. Yeah. What you say makes sense. I don't have to check.
I think the point here is that if you're trying to do a clockwise rotation, then the only two squares that you need to check, or the three conditions you need to check, is one is you want to make sure that you're already horizontal, which is good, you've done that. And then the thing you're supposed to make sure is that the next row, both elements are free.
Right.
That's all you need to check. So you need to check two locations, and the fact that it's horizontal, and that is for clockwise. For anti-clockwise, it's essentially you want to make sure that the right column is free and it is already in a vertical position. That's what you want to figure out.
Yeah. Actually, I made that change, today morning. I removed this one and I checked in also, but maybe it's an eventual consistency. I'm still not seeing that yet. I made it on the other desktop. Yeah, but that's true. That's a good one. So
the code actually comes from local storage. So it's not a server-based code storage.
Okay, so I made it on the other desktop, so therefore it's not appearing yet. But actually, if I pick from the submission, it should be there. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. Yeah. So this is so just check for the 4 conditions, and then it's a normal BFS. That is what I thought may be a very easy way to implement this, and it is the standard BFS implementation. So I thought it might be easier to do it, though it is not a very optimized way.
No, it's much more intuitive. It's like we are used to, and DP is also not that advanced one. It's also like I got clue from that minimum. What do you say? That minimum. Actually, we have grid problems in which we decide the minimum possible path for a robot to reach from one end to another. Right? Such problems.
Okay.
So one word of caution for DP. I was listening in on the conversation. So a couple of things, right? One is it's definitely a little bit more complicated than BFS, just from an understanding perspective. So that is one. So it's worth exploring the code and making sure that you understand that. But the second thing to understand is that one of the problems with DP is that if you are able to get to the same position again in a different way, right? Then you will be then DP will result in loops, and if you have loops, then your DP will not work.
Yeah, it will fall into recursion.
Right. So one of the classic cases is like if you have played Snakes and Ladders game, for example, And if you want to count the minimum, like let's assume that, I give you a snakes and ladders board and I give you the ability to control the dice. Like you can say whether it should be a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 5 or whatever. In how many moves, minimum number of moves can you win the game, right? And winning the game is defined by reaching the 100th square, right? That's what the question would be. And that is actually pretty simple. Any square is like, if you want to reach square x, you can reach square x in 6, 7, 8 different ways, right? Total. You can, from x minus 1, you can put a 1. From x minus 2, you can put a 2 and so on. That's like 6 of them. And then you can either get to a snake, which is in a greater number than x, and then you can grab a snake and come here. Or you can take a ladder from a smaller number and go there. So there are 8 possibilities for everything. And typically you can just do DP with that. The problem is that there is a loop here and your DP will not work.
Oh, yeah, that we have to.
Yeah, but that's for the snake and ladder game, right? Because you have
I know.
You can have a cycle.
So here the cycles are not, the only way the cycle is possible here is if you rotated and then you rotated again. Like if you were horizontal to vertical rotation, vertical to horizontal rotation, right? That's it. So if you keep rotating, you could be potentially flipping back and forth in the same rotation level, right? The same point, R and C could be like 0, 0, and then you're just simply rotating clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, anti-clockwise. That's the only possibility for a loop. And that is what you're eliminating by doing a is rotated check in the previous code, right? So it's a little, very specific to this particular question. And I think if I were a candidate looking at this one, I would just simply go and try to solve this using BFS, because that is A, intuitive, and B, it is more extensible. If the interviewer throws a couple of curveballs at you, then your DP solution will be harder to work with.
But in the DP solution, for that case, they could use some visited area or something like that, right? So that if you're already
actually no, it is not possible, because you cannot calculate the value of the DP without the information. I don't think visited is going to help you.
Okay.
Like if you want to do a little bit of a deep dive there, just go figure out how to solve like snakes and ladders game using DP. I think you'll run into all those issues, even if you're using clever thing, or you'll end up implementing a BFS in a backward way.
Sure. Because that snake and ladder will always be, you'll always think of doing in a BFS way, right? A lever order traversing. That might be a easier way of doing it, right?
For that, it's a very intuitive way of doing it. But since if you're only thinking DP, like, I've done this in a few different contexts.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Let's.
Santosh, just a quick question
sure.
on putting the items into the queue. So there are like 4 cases, like clockwise, anti-clockwise, and vertical and horizontal.
Right.
But when you were explaining initially the moves, you also explained something about moving down. Like, let's say if you're at first row 0, 0 and 0, 1, when you were drawing, you also drew like something like you moved completely down the entire, like, one step you moved your tail and head to a next column or next row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a little weird in the way it is described. So essentially, let's take one step at a time, right? So imagine you're already in a horizontal position. Okay. Then the moves you can do is you can just move one step to the right, in which case the tail will come to where the head is and the head will go to the new location. So that is easy, right?
Yeah.
The second option that you can do if you're on the horizontal position is to go down. And if you go down, then the tail, you're just like doing a lateral shift, which means the tail will also go down, the head will also go down. Does that make sense? They'll occupy brand new squares.
Entire body is going down, right?
The entire body will move down. So from first row, first row, first column, and second column, it will just go to second row, first column, and second column. It will just slide down, right? It's like just lateral shift. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
As if it's taken a side step or down step. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is if it is horizontal. If it is vertical, it's the same conversation, right? If it's vertical, then a step down simply means that the tail will go to the head's place and the head will actually occupy a new square. And a step to the right simply means that it will slide to the right, which is basically it will the tail will occupy a new position and the head will also occupy a new position. Now, in the way the code is being shared here by Santosh, is like regardless of how you do it, right? Essentially, the conversation is still the same. If you're making a step right, then you're just increasing the x value of both the head and the tail by 1, and that's it.
Yeah.
And if you're moving down, then you're increasing the y value of both of them by 1, and that's how he has managed. The only concern I do have is I'm just looking at your code, Santosh. You're saying vertical, you're increasing the x, and horizontal, you're increasing the y.
Yeah. I started with that, but then I implemented. Yeah, I didn't change the comments. Yeah, that's true. So it will always be the. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying from horizontal, you can go to vertical in 2 ways. Either entire body moves to the next, below row, next row, or by rotating in a clockwise direction, it can.
No. Rotation is rotation is an entirely different operation. I think the question was around how does the slide work, right? And essentially, if you are in a particular position, technically you can do a bunch of different things, right? You can slide right.
Yeah.
Slide down, or you can rotate clockwise, or you can rotate anti-clockwise. These are the 4 things you can do.
Yeah.
Okay, and regardless of your position, the slide right simply means that your x value of both head and tail will be increased, and your slide down, regardless of your orientation, both values of y will be increased, and that's exactly what Santosh has coded. So there are only 4 operations that are possible, and one of the operations, like clockwise or rotate anti-clockwise, is forbidden. Depending on only one of them is possible, depending on which orientation you are in.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
That answers the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, then.
Yeah, so that was all.
Wrap it up. Yeah.
One more feedback for you would be to make sure that you can probably abstract this thing of saying, like, is this new orientation possible conversation, right?
Yeah.
You can put that as a part of your just take it as a separate function.
Which one?
Just the entire block, 180 through 183, all of those, right? The pieces. Saying you could just say that insert new location if possible, or something like that. If you put that as your function.
Oh, this
right?
one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the entire block, 180 to 186 even, including the push.
Oh, okay. You mean to say this one as a separate function? Yeah. Okay.
Just take it as a separate function, and because you're doing it 3 times, so right, 4 times, or something like that, right? So if you just make that thing, if new location possible, then insert in the queue. You pass the queue as a parameter to it as well, and you pass the value to it, and then you can automatically get that. So that is like one of the ways you can. Like the intent in an interview would be to build your code in a logical and modular way, so that when the interviewer asks for like additional questions or something, then you can deal with that. Now the one advantage that you have is, in that case, if you did is valid x1 y1, then it's not a problem. It's not a problem because it's a generic function, right? You're just like checking for everything.
Right. So I made many of them, so I thought maybe
right.
I didn't want to add more, but yeah. But that will make this the while loop very cleaner. Yeah.
Correct. And the other thing that if you look at the other code, you could just keep x, y, and you could keep the rotation as a horizontal or vertical as a Boolean flag. So that way, you don't need 4 elements. You just need 3. Right? X1, Y1. You need x comma y, or r comma c as the example maybe, and then you just need a rotation flag, like is the snake vertical or horizontal.
Yep.
So then you can use that for your equations in math, right? Because anyway the functions, like, you're not doing anything different, it's only useful for rotation.
Yeah. Just use that flag and then call that function. That makes sense.
Minor differences. I mean, these are
absolutely.
The challenge is to come up with this in the pressure of an interview.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the concern.
Those tips were helpful. Yeah. Very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think these are the pieces, like, I think by breaking it into modules, it will save your time, because then that thing you can separately think about. And then as you're writing this code, it will be easier. So, but good stuff. This is more intuitive to me than the DP approach. And I'm this is just me personally. I don't like the DP approach as much because of the because I suspect the interviewer will ask you a follow-up question, which will make this fail. Like for one of the examples of a follow-up question would be that what if the snake can do do all directions, like left, right, up, and down. And the rotation is all possible. Like, you know, I can do four-way rotation. Like there is no, even if it's horizontal, I can still do clockwise, and vertical, I can still do clockwise, right?
Yeah.
Or only clockwise rotation is allowed. So, but I can rotate it. I can rotate multiple times or something like that. If they did that, then your DP will fall flat in multiple different ways. Because then the dupes are possible, and there is no way for you to figure out the DP value. So I think BFS offers the cleanest solve here. But that will be my take.
But only as per the lead code, the submission time is too much. So therefore, I was thinking that should surely be like 824 milliseconds. Right? Yeah.
And did you try the DP approach as well?
No, I didn't try. I'm just
right out because it's like, you know, or maybe somebody else. You could click on the submissions, right? It'll tell you what the
other ones are, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm so much far behind, you know.
No, that's okay. But just select select the first few blocks, and then click on the solution, the fastest solution.
So actually,
DP.
I think they are doing DP.
Pick the next one.
They all might be DP.
So let's find out. Let's pick to.
Yeah, this is
also
DP.
DP.
Yeah.
So let's pick. Slide a little more and pick the other one. Yeah.
They are also
DP. Okay, and then pick the one that is like the big spike around 140.
Yeah. Yeah, here it starts with
like
BFS, sorry, yeah.
Bit masking is used.
Yeah. And they also have done a lot of modularization, yeah. Yeah, so I think most of them are DFS, DPs.
DP, the first at least the top one. Can you pick the one near 70, the one that's a big spike? I wanted to see if that's still DP.
I think this is BFS.
This looks like a Q. Yeah, it looks like a BFS. So
yeah, it's BFS.
I think at this point, if you have a 68 millisecond solution which is BFS, then that tells me it's rounding error. Between 40 and 68, it's not too much. And I think if you run it a couple of times, it'll be different. So I don't think BFS is any poorer.
Yeah, maybe my implementation needs to be a bit enhanced.
Yeah, I mean, sure. You're doing multiple checks on the visited and things like that, but those things should be inexpensive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've seen LeetCode, like, you know, the function testing to be a little different. Like, you know, I've done conditions where I've said, like, you know, if X is greater than something, then assign, like, you know, the minimum one, right? If the value is actually less than the minimum, then minimum equal to new value or something like that. I've done that. And that is slower than just simply saying min equal to maths.min of min comma new value.
Oh, really? Okay, maybe that's a library function. Yeah.
But that library function, I look at it, it's Java. I can look at the source code. The source code does the exact same damn thing. So,
yeah, and also the time is not very consistent. You
exactly
again and again, it is very different. Time.
It's just you run it like 3 or 4 times, it's different. So I think that's why I say, like, you know, if your code is running at 40 milliseconds or 60 milliseconds, I think it's rounding error, or it's like, you know, something else is going on. Versus if you're in your case, I think you saw 800 milliseconds, right? So clearly you're doing something more expensive, like you're probably allocating more memory, or they're doing something which is more expensive.
Which is function calls, right? He has function calls. So.
No, but function calls are, if they're like pretty quick.
If we can make inline, then it will be faster.
Yeah. Maybe just try to hash define them and see if that makes it faster, and see what not. Like, I mean,
the macro, the pre-processing will take time again.
No, but that is only for compiling, right? Not for
compiling. Yeah, that's compiling.
Not for runtime.
This only does execution.
Yeah.
It's worth looking at it. So that will be my recommendation. But good discussion. Today's discussion was a little. It was a lot more elaborate, but I loved it. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
so we have something on the chat. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Shashank. Thank you, Vivek.
Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks, Vivek.
Bye.
Thanks, Pradeep. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.